Imagine swiping right on what feels like the perfect match. The profile is polished but not too polished. The smile feels genuine. The bio hits just the right balance of ambition and vulnerability. He says he loves dogs. He volunteers at a shelter. He's family-oriented, talks about wanting something real in a world of shallow connections. Within minutes of chatting, you feel it. This isn't just another app stranger. This is different. This is destiny. Or at least, that's what you think. For hundreds of victims across America, that perfect match became the beginning of their worst nightmare. A nightmare called the Tinder Trickster. A man, or perhaps a ghost, who used affection as a weapon and romance as a cage. But the truth behind him is darker than anyone expected. Because the Tinder Trickster isn't just one man. He may be a graduate of something much worse, a romance scam school, a real institution of heartbreak, where human predators are trained to turn love into profit. It always started beautifully. Victims remember how he mirrored them so well it felt like a soulmate connection. If a woman posted pictures of hiking, he became an outdoorsman. If she wrote about faith, he quoted scripture and called her blessed. If she wanted stability, he was the man building his business. If she wanted adventure, he was the world traveler just waiting to take her along. He didn't just read their profiles. He studied them. He dissected them. And then he built himself to be exactly what they longed for. They called him perfect. But perfection was the illusion. Because every word, every emoji, every carefully timed text was scripted, not by love, but by manipulation. At first, he was constant and reassuring. Good morning messages before sunrise. Long phone calls that stretched into the night. He remembered birthdays, anniversaries, even the names of their children or pets. He sent pictures of his family, sometimes even arranging fake video calls with accomplices pretending to be relatives. Slowly, the victims forgot this was someone they met through a glowing screen. He felt more real than the people standing right beside them. That was the point. He wasn't after a date. He was after devotion. Because devotion leads to trust, and trust unlocks everything. Then came the shift. Subtle at first. An emergency, a stroke of bad luck. His account frozen by overseas banks. His mother in the hospital. A business deal trapped in customs. Just a little help, only temporary, until we're together. The first requests were small. $50. A few hundred. Enough to test whether love was real. When it worked, the amounts grew. Thousands. Tens of thousands. Whole savings accounts emptied. A nurse in Ohio sold her car to support him. A retired teacher in Florida mortgaged her home. A widow in Texas cashed out her retirement. They told themselves it wasn't giving. It was investing in their future. But there was no future. There was only the trickster. Investigators chasing him across states described the experience as trying to catch smoke. The accounts he used were closed within days. The numbers disconnected within hours. The homes he rented were empty by the time the police arrived. He was always ahead, a phantom with dozens of faces. To victims, he was the perfect man. To law enforcement, he was a faceless thief. To himself, he was invincible. But here is the chilling revelation: the Tinder Trickster may never have been a lone wolf at all. Evidence began to point towards something larger, something organized, something that stretched far beyond one man with a gift for words. They discovered chatter about schools. Not schools in the traditional sense, but hidden networks overseas where young men are trained to become digital Casanovas of crime. Imagine stepping into a classroom with blacked-out windows. Instead of a chalkboard filled with equations, the walls are plastered with screenshots of American dating profiles. Instead of a teacher explaining literature, an instructor paces the room with a microphone, reading aloud sample scripts. If she says she's divorced, tell her you admire her strength. If she says she has kids, say you dream of being a father. If she hesitates about money, remind her that true love requires sacrifice. Students sit at rows of computers, practicing conversations, copying and pasting responses. They learn how to mirror emotions, how to fake affection, how to cry on command in voice messages. This is the curriculum of deception. This is the trickster school. And it doesn't stop there. They are graded, ranked. Some schools even hold competitions: who can extract the most money in a week, who can hold on to a victim the longest without being exposed. Photos of victims are circulated like trophies. Phone numbers are traded like currency. To these students, the people on the other side of the screen are not human. They're targets. They're marks. They're stepping stones to fast money. One former investigator described it as an industry of heartbreak, complete with textbooks, role-play, and graduation ceremonies. What does it say about our world when love itself has been industrialized into a scam? The victims, meanwhile, are left in ruins. They don't just lose money. They lose trust in themselves. One woman whispered, "He didn't just steal my savings. He stole my reflection. I don't recognize myself anymore." Another said, "I wasn't paying him. I was paying for the dream. And now the dream is gone." These voices don't often make headlines. The shame is too heavy. Victims hide, afraid of being mocked, afraid people will say, "How could you be so stupid?" But the truth is, it isn't stupidity. It's biology. Love floods the brain with dopamine, oxytocin, the chemicals of trust. And in that chemical haze, red flags don't look like warnings. They look like roses. The trickster school knows this. They weaponize it. And they teach their students to exploit it mercilessly. Law enforcement piece together fragments: a burner phone in Nevada, a rental car in Arizona, a wire transfer routed through Lagos, a fake passport photo with no real-world match. It was enough to realize something terrifying: maybe the Tinder trickster wasn't one man at all. Maybe he was many. Maybe the mask was passed from hand to hand, classroom to classroom, until the myth became larger than the man. Victims who thought they were in love with one person may have been speaking to several, each playing a part, each keeping the illusion alive. That's why he always felt so perfect. Because it wasn't just him. It was a team. A method. A system. And the system is growing. Romance scams are one of the fastest rising crimes in the digital age, costing Americans billions of dollars every year. Not millions. Billions. And yet these crimes leave no fingerprints, no DNA, no bloody crime scenes. They leave something far quieter and far crueler: humiliation. Broken hearts. Empty bank accounts. People too ashamed to ever love again. These are the invisible victims of the trickster school. The ones who don't call the police because they can't bear to admit the truth. The ones who stay silent, making it easier for the predators to keep hunting. Investigators call him the Tinder trickster. Victims call him the love of their life. But maybe the better name is the ghost of digital romance. Because he isn't flesh and blood. He exists in profiles, in stolen photographs, in perfectly timed words. He exists in the glow of a phone screen at midnight, in the whispered, "I love yous," that feel so real you bet your future on them. He exists wherever someone is lonely enough to believe. And as long as the trickster school keeps training new graduates, his ghost will never disappear. And here's the chilling part. His story isn't over. Right now, someone, somewhere, is swiping right on a ghost. And that ghost might be the Tinder trickster. If you think it could never happen to you, think again. Because the trickster school isn't finished. They're still teaching. Still training. Still unleashing predators into the digital dating pool. And the next story we tell, might be yours. Next episode, we'll reveal the top 3 red flags to spot a romance scam before it ruins your life. Because the Tinder trickster may be a ghost, but his methods are real. If you've ever searched for love online, you need to know how to protect your heart before it becomes his next prize.